So it was in 2016 when my first startup, Book My Interest, got acquired. So it got acquired by a company by name Zozo Day, XOXO Day. So once it got acquired, I also got an uh, invite from the founders which acquired my company, saying that I can also take up one of their business unit. So I joined them in 2016, and that is where I met my other partner, Mahendra Rathod. He is from IMB. So he was an what we can say a guy who was interested in trekking, but he didn't know how to go about it, or with whom he should go, or how to even make a plan around it. So when we met for the first time, he asked me, "Have I done any trekking?" So I told, "Yeah, I've done." So he asked, "Which trek have you done?" I told, "Everest Base Camp." So now that was a big catch. So he said, "You've already done Everest Base Camp, so come down, sit here, we will discuss." He just asked me, "How is it? How was your experience? Show me some photos and everything." And slowly we started discussing, and he also was very inclined towards doing trekking and everything. He was taking suggestions on how to start, and how we can go about it and everything. But he had some peculiar request, saying that if I'm going for a trek, I will not stay in a tent. I would not stay in a homestay. I want to stay in a good place. I want to travel in a good vehicle, or probably a private vehicle. So basically, his point was, there is affordability, but can there also be a option where I can opt for some premium or luxury elements along with trekking as a core element. Now, this was something which was very new for me, because since the day I started trekking, we always thought of making that trekking as viable as possible in terms of money. So basically, we used to go for 2 to 3 days of trekking within probably 1,000 rupees or so, which was like very less. We used to sleep at bus stands, or probably sleep at some temples and everything. So we were dependent on lunch for temple food. So we used to do all those things possibly to make that viable, so that we can keep going every other weekend. Now this was a peculiar request for me, especially considering trekking as a segment. So I thought, it is doable, but why would someone pay so much of money just for a trek, is what was the question. So he was the guy who convinced me, saying that, see, I am earning good. I am at my middle age, probably 30, 35 plus. I can afford it, but I don't want the headache of any kind of arrangements. Like, I did not worry about my transport, my accommodation, my guide, my trek and everything. Everything should be end to end, but I'm ready to pay an extra if you can give me something premium. Is it doable? I said, yeah, it is doable again, but yeah, it comes at a cost. So he said, take me on a trek. I'm just your one customer. Take me on a trek and make it premium. Let us see, if it works out. So I took him for a premium trek, I can say, to Thadian Mall. So where we went in a private vehicle, we stayed in a resort, we had good food, activities, and then we went for a hike, came back, freshened up, again stayed in that resort and reached back. Same typical weekend, but it was not like that rugged way of doing it, doing all the possible jugards of, we have to control the cost here, we need to cut down the cost here. It was like, enjoy it lavishly and also have the trekking. So, yeah, of course, we did the trek, and, we understood that yes, it is doable. Now, the second point was whether we can take a group, giving the same concept. So, probably in next couple of months, we were able to take a small group as well to a similar trek in a similar way. What I discussed, basically in a private vehicle, staying in a good resort, and of course having the trek as a core element. We did a lot of other activities with good food and everything. So that was a click. Now that is when my partner Mahendra, he started saying that we should do something around it, and especially you having so much of knowledge in the trekking routes and trekking, why don't we do this? And of course, in 2016 or 2017 probably, there were very less trekking companies who are actually operating probably, and of course no one in the segment of premium trekking. So we said, we can do it. So then came my decision. So I took some time and I said, I've already come out of my first startup, and I didn't wanted to jump again into a startup saying that this idea is exciting. So whatever mistakes or small mistakes that I would have done in my first startup, I wanted to rectify it here. So the first thing I decided is, let us do proof of concept where I get the numbers and also probably the feedback from people where I can understand this is viable to make it a scalable business. So that is where I did continuous POC of 2 years, 2017 and 18. To be frank, in 2018, out of 52 weekends, I was out for 32 weekends, including 2 Himalayan treks. So this was very big and this was massive because 5 days of work, again going on a trek on weekend, then coming back to office on Monday. I juggled it and also made sure if this is going to work, it has to make sense, because you cannot do a POC just for the sake of it and say that it didn't work. So you have to give 100% there as well. So I did do that, and at the end of 2018, I decided that yes, this is doable. And 2019 April, I quit my job, and before even registering the company, what I did was I went to Java Institute of Mountaineering and completed my basic mountaineering course, because I believe that if I start something, I should be qualified for the same, and that is what has driven me for to reach the milestones that I set for myself, or probably you can say the small success that we get at each at every level. So I got qualified, and then I came back and registered the company, and that is also a name that we found to be in Kannada. So that is the Kannada word for nomad, which is Alemari. So the company name is Alemari Services Private Limited, and the brand name is TrekNomads. So Trek, of course, is the core element of whatever we do, and the best feeling you as a person you get when you are on a trek is that you feel a nomad. So you are out of the digital life, you're out of the city life and everything. You live and walk like a nomad. So that feel that or the emotion that anyone feels in a trek or during the trek is feeling like a nomad, and that is how we termed our brand name as TrekNomads. So TrekNomads has been going strong year on year. It started with only local treks around Bangalore. Then we added Western Ghats treks where we used to do weekend treks. Then we added a couple of trekking routes in the Indian Himalayas. Then we started with our first international trek through Nepal. So we also have a lot of trekking routes in Nepal other than Everest Base Camp. We have around 7 to 8 trekking routes there. So beyond that, this year, we also started TrekNomads expeditions, where we are trying to get in the easy or the semi-technical 5,000 to 6,000 meter kind of climbs where you go to the summits. So these kind of expeditions are also added, and we are expanding right now with many other international treks in Vietnam, in Malaysia, and in Tanzania and in Russia. So we also have plans to open these routes, multiple trekking routes and expedition routes in New Zealand and Australia as well. So these are the plans, and what we want to do is, last couple of years or 3 years itself, we have seen many people who started doing treks with us, with the local one-day trek, and they got elevated to doing Everest Base Camp. So why we keep adding these international trek routes, or why we added expeditions is like, you've seen people growing from one-day treks to Everest Base Camp, which is like around 5,300 meters. Now beyond that, if they want to continue to do with us, we should have those options. So that was the reason behind it, and we keep adding these things as and when we get the input from our trekkers, and as and when we keep adding it, I would say that we will start expanding as well. And it is a great opportunity where we are able to help and make people's life easier in terms of planning for these kind of small treks to kind of expeditions. We handle it end to end, and that is where is our core competency. And the best part is about TrekNomads is we are sure that trekking has to be inclusive, and it should be available even to a 7-year-old kid. Of to like 70 plus year old elderly person as well. So that is what we are trying to do. And at some point of time, to our few techs, yes, physical fitness is required so that it can help you enjoy the entire trekking experience. Or else it is going to be just a struggle. So that is there. But regardless, all the other elements like your travel, adventure, and your trekking part to it. So we will take care of it to make it easier, so that their planning structure is taken care by entirely by TrekNomads. All they have to do is just make sure they are capable to hike and build that basic fitness required, and they can just come without a hassle, and they can pick up any kind of trekking starting from like basic one day trek to a 6,000 meter expedition. So as we all know, 2020 we were hit by one of the biggest pandemics that that world has seen, which was COVID. So during that time, TrekNomads was recognized by Startup Karnataka and Startup India as well. So from Startup Karnataka, we were ordered by government for working professionals who can join hands to take care of certain activities that was happening during COVID. So as I was also a volunteer, I had applied being a volunteer for the COVID course. So I was called out for, and we also did a lot of activities on the ground initially, like couple of days probably managing the traffic and all those things. And probably by first week of April 2020, we were called out by the Department of Information and Promotion to handle the food distribution. So basically, I was handling the food distribution with volunteer support for around 1.5 lakh food packets for lunch and dinner. So this was handled by 12 kitchens and 16 distribution centers. So this happened for a couple of months, April and May. So that was your first wave. And post that, once everything started opening up, so we were called out for handling certain zones in BBMP where they wanted to run the COVID war room with the help of volunteers and the calling team, so that they can handle all the home isolation, other activities that were happening on the ground. So I was called out for handling the BBMP South Zone COVID war room operations. So that continued till the end of September 22. So that is when the COVID war room was closed. So yeah, from 2020 June to 2022 September, the COVID war room operations was open. So we did a lot of activities on the ground, right from second wave to third wave and everything. So in end of 2020, so I seeing the problems that people were facing, and how NGOs were working, and how government bureaucrats were working, and how government officials were working. I thought there was a lot of gap that we couldn't do as a company, being a private limited company. So that is when we decided that if we want to help, we want to do it in the right way, where we are compliant and we do not have any issues with the government. So that is when we opened our foundation, which is TrekNomads Foundation, in 2020. So through that, we did a lot of activities, not just in Bangalore, but across the country in multiple borders, and also in majorly the remote mountain areas. So, so in the remote areas, we did a lot of activities in terms of strengthening or upgrading the primary health centers, and we identified a lot of families, basically our guides, porters, and all these families. We supported them for their groceries, monthly household items that they required, and we also paid a lot of salaries to people who used to help us in terms of taking care of our trekking routes. So these were the activities done. Apart from that, we joined hand with multiple NGOs, where we have gone beyond boundaries, like in Andaman, in Lakshadweep, in Indo-Myanmar borders, Indo-Pakistan borders. So we have gone to remotest primary health centers, and we have helped upgrading the primary health centers, and also actually entirely helping the local people. Why? Because in COVID we saw only one thing: the city infrastructure, the city medical infrastructure was getting choked, because the remote area medical facilities were in a very bad shape. So it was not just for the city people, people from tier 2, tier 3 cities, not only tier 2, tier 3 cities, beyond that also, people used to come to main cities because they didn't have even the basic medical infrastructures there. So that is what we saw during COVID, being a part of the COVID warrior team. So that is when we decided, let's do something. We know that there are 35,000 plus primary health centers, and it is not going to happen with only one NGO. But we said, let us start. Probably, like, people will pick it up. People will see that if you are doing this, many other people can do it. So yeah, till date, I guess we did around 15 to 16 primary health centers across all the borders. So there was a point also why we wanted to do in the borders, because border areas are the remotest areas. So if we are reaching there, then we thought people who can reach in the normal cities or tier 2, tier 3 cities also, then that is good. So that is what we were able to do and make the difference, and we feel continues. And also through TrekNomads Foundation, we've been continuing to do all other activities. So recently we also did some kind of donation with relief materials to Turkey earthquake victims. And also recently we also did, when there was a cold wave, we did distribute a lot of blankets in terms of the BBMP area with the support of BBMP Commissioner only. So it's like small things, but actually we are trying to do it on the ground, being there, and so that it reaches the people directly. So that is what we've been doing, and we will continue to do that. COVID was not just a eye opener, but it also I would say the game changer for many people, because all people used to do only was during their birthday or anniversary or any kind of special occasion. That is the only time philanthropic or being social or all these activities used to come. But I feel many people have changed this notion, and they started helping people on a day-to-day basis as well. So regardless whether they do it through an NGO or individual, but I feel COVID has changed that notion, and it has brought a lot of being kind, the kindness in people, and where people are actually getting into the ground and actually helping the needy, and that is what the change we have seen. And through TrekNomads Foundation, we would like to do a lot of other things, and it's going to carry on.
This was Naveen's story. If you find it inspiring, then please share it with your friends and family. Thanks for watching.